It's not summer, there are multiple games, and it's not really a fest. They should call it Late Spring Video Game Event. Welcome to Triple Click, where we bring the games to you. This week, we're talking about Summer Game Fest. I just got back from Los Angeles, where I played a bunch of games, and there's a whole lot of news to get into, so let's do it. I'm Jason Schreier.
I'm Kirk Hamilton.
And I'm Maddy Myers.
Hello.
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 Can you guys
It's
hear
us.
in my voice that I was at Summer Games Fest?
Oh,
for the
yeah.
last-
Yeah, I was watching your E3 explainer video on YouTube and hearing the very familiar sounds of Jason Schreier post-convention.
That husky bent.
Yeah, post JW bar.
Sounds good.
Post Airport Hilton, as Kirk might say.
Yeah, that was a real tragedy that JW wasn't there.
Well, actually, there's another bar at the JW that a lot of people were at, and then get this, in the middle of Summer Games Fest, like day 4 that I was there, they reopened part of the JW bar, so it worked out fine.
Thank goodness.
We're going to talk about Summer Game Fest, not the JW, but the more interesting stuff that was there. But first, I just want to point out that we are a listener-supported podcast, and that you, as a listener, as someone who is hearing this right now, can also be a supporter of our podcast by going to MaximumFun.org/join. In addition to making this show possible, you will also get bonus episodes every single month, including one we just ran that is about two things. One, it's about the TV show Players, and two, it's about esports in general and how watchable they are, how viable they are as a business, and lots of other interesting conversations. But you also get a backlog full of bonus episodes that we do for all of you fine subscribers. One other thing before we get started, Kirk.
Yes, last week I mentioned that the Strong Songs Live show is coming up in July. One thing I didn't mention, because it wasn't finalized, is that we are now selling live stream tickets for that show.
Yay!
So if you are not in Portland and you want to watch, you can buy a live stream ticket at the same place that we're selling the other tickets. We also removed this really annoying restriction that was in place for like out-of-state credit cards that some people might have run into.
What?
Hopefully no one listening ran into that. It was very annoying, but it has now been lifted. So anyways, there's going to be a live stream. You'll be able to watch it after the fact too. You don't have to watch it live, if you're in a different time zone. So there's still a link for that in the show notes, and I hope some of you will tune in online.
I will.
So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I
Very
will tune
cool.
in.
Very cool.
That's
I
great.
will certainly be tuning in. If not right then and there, at least I will catch it.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit late on the East Coast.
Yeah, I think it'll be a sleepy time for me
It
and
will
Jason,
be sleepy
but
time for
maybe I'll
us,
watch the beginning. I don't know.
for
I'll
us
see what I can do.
parents. Okay, cool. So let's talk about Summer Game Fest, which is the annual extravaganza for all things video games. It's funny, whenever I tell people that I'm going to LA for Summer Game Fest, I always have to be like, well, it used to be E3, but now it's this new thing that nobody's ever heard of except for like...
Now you have a
arcade
YouTube
games.
video you can refer them to.
Yeah.
That's true. Why E3 died.
I wonder how many more years of our lives we're going to have to preface it with that explanation before people are like, oh yeah, Summer Game Fest, I've heard of that. Probably like
Always.
another 5
Right.
at
How
least.
long will we have to refer to X as formerly Twitter? I guess it's kind of a similar
Always.
question.
It is.
Always.
Right. So maybe the
Forever.
answer to this is also always.
Well, the thing about Summer Game Fest is because it doesn't have the whole spectacle of the LA Convention Center and thousands of people and like news cameras there. Like TV cable stations, TV news would go to E3 and cover it. They're not covering Summer Game Fest. Like no one gives a shit about like the live streams except for hardcore enthusiast gamers.
Like us.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
like us.
I mean, there was a lot of cool stuff. So if you missed it, we can kind of recap. Just kind of, we don't have to go through every single showcase, but just to kind of refresh people's memory and maybe break the news to people who didn't catch up on every single press conference. There were 4 big ones. Essentially, Sony had a state of play last week where they talked about Wolverine and announced a new God of War game starring Faye, Kratos' dead wife, who wakes up and is like, what is this bullshit? There was the main Summer Game Fest showcase last Friday night, which had the announcement of a Resident Evil Code Veronica remake, Final Fantasy VII
Very
Part
exciting.
3 called Revelation, Tupac, is back to life, apparently.
I like how it sounded like maybe Final Fantasy VII was going to be called Revelation Tupac for
Revelation
a second there.
Tupac. Well, Final Fantasy VII is bringing one person back to life, and then Stranger Than Heaven is bringing back another.
So true.
There's an Xbox showcase, which had a new Spyro game, and Persona 6, and Gears of War going exclusive, among other things.
Console exclusive.
There's a Nintendo Direct, which had Ocarina of Time getting remade, a bunch of release dates, a bunch of other random stuff. And then like a total like hodgepodge of other live streams, some of which had notable game releases. But yeah, let's get into all of it. I mean, first of all, let's start by talking about like the stuff we thought was coolest. So Kirk, why don't you start off? What are kind of some of the announcements and games that you were most excited about?
Well, there's a bunch of smaller games that we can maybe talk about later. I was excited to hear that Persona 6 exists, though I would have liked to see a little bit more of it.
It was really short.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't we knew it existed. That trailer was just such a waste of time. It was so pointless.
Yeah,
it's not totally clear.
Artsy shots of humans standing in darkness. I don't even know if they were people. Heads, and then it was
Whatever
like P6.
Can I just say, I think in a world where everything leaks in advance, game publishers just should not do teaser trailers anymore. Because like if the point of your trailer is just to say this game exists and it always leaks ahead of time, which all of the announcements this weekend leaked, every single one. If you don't show gameplay, then there's no point, which is why the coolest announcements were like Final Fantasy VII Revelation, where it was like, here's a solid 15 minutes of the actual game, which was just so cool to see. So I feel like these kind of teaser trailers are just a waste of everybody's time.
Yeah,
I agree. And I guess I'll throw out there then, let's just talk about God of War Laufey, because I thought that was an incredible demo, and I'm really excited for that game.
Yeah, you guys were jazzed on it. I thought it was really cool too.
I thought it looked great. I thought it looked like a great game and was incredibly impressed by its visual fidelity. It just like was one of the few games where I really felt like, oh man, this is a futuristic game. Like if you'd shown this to me 15 years ago, I would have been like, damn, wow, video games have really gotten amazing looking.
Yeah, it looks really fun to play as well, which I think is sometimes hard to convey in these really long gameplay demo showcases. But they showed so much of Faye fighting, and it just looked so kinetic and cool, and she was swinging that magical sword around, and that just looked like, I mean, I'm remembering how fun God of War is to play, and I'm like, oh, I can kind of picture what kind of moves, what buttons I'll be hitting to do all this, and it's gonna feel really good. And I don't know, that made me excited to see.
Agree. I like that they emphasized the juggle like aerial stuff so much. It made it look a little bit different in a way that I could immediately kind of feel under my thumbs. Watching it, I was like, yeah, I know what this game is going to feel like to play. This looks great.
Yeah, and I think because you're playing as Faye, she's going to have magic and embrace magic in a way that Kratos doesn't. And I think that like what we saw is the first 20 minutes of the game or so, right? That's how it was presented, at least.
When she only awakens her magic toward the very end, right? The idea is, that she will develop that much more.
Well, does she? What do you mean she develops it at the very
There's
end?
that. She keeps trying to summon her magic with the right trigger in all the cutscenes, but it's kind of been muted because she's in the afterlife.
At the end of this demo, you mean?
And then
the demo, and then she finally pulls it off.
Exactly.
It seems very likely that it's going to be this sort of mix of magic attacks, sword attacks, and like some enemies are vulnerable to some, and some are, you can imagine it having played some of these games.
And maybe the magic will get stronger throughout the game via some sort of skill tree, even.
Right, it's possible.
And so I got the sense that like even though that first 20 minutes looked a little bit more akin to the God of War games that we've seen already, I feel like it's going to change a lot as you start juggling magic as part of that too. I've also heard that like the cube is going to do some stuff that it feels a little different than just like having Atreus like next to you.
It already looked really different because one, it's a cube. There's a talking cube.
There's a talking
Quaid cube. Not just any cube, but the cube voiced by Jack Quaid.
Which, by the way, reminded me of Esoteric Eb's gelatinous cube. It's a classic D&D monster.
I mean, people have been speculating. I don't know if it's been confirmed that that's the quote unquote mythology that the cube is from Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know if that's actually intended or not.
Oh, so the idea is like maybe this is a like blended up afterlife for all different kinds of mythology.
Correct, because you can already see there's like these ancient Egyptian gods in that trailer as well.
Sure, and I guess Kratos is a Greek god. And,
right.
it totally makes sense. I hadn't even thought about that, but that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'd also seen a different theory that it was like a ideal form, like in, Socratic platonic forms. You guys know what I'm talking about? Remember reading?
Like a cube is
in
whatever, like
college?
the ideal.
Yeah, I don't
Yes.
know. Who knows
Yes,
what the
I
cube
do
is?
know
But
what
there's
you're
a
talking
talking cube, and it cracks jokes and also does cognitive behavioral therapy with Faye so that she can use her magic. And who wouldn't
I feel
want
like
that?
it's going to turn out that it's like some cursed dude who's just like, now I'm
Yes,
stuck as a
cursed to be a
cube. I
cube.
wish I wasn't.
Yeah,
Could be.
and I would imagine a cube like that kind of unusual shaped NPC helper would be helpful in puzzles, and that's something we didn't really see in the demo, but something I was reminding myself of as we watched Faye shred this dude and have this huge boss fight. These games always start with the epic spectacle boss fight. That seemed like they showed us that one for this game. There will be a lot of puzzles. There will be a lot of kind of cool gameplay systems and stuff. I mean, a thing I don't always think about is how God of War Ragnarok added this Valhalla mode. They added like a lot of really cool, there was those mist realm that you had to explore in the 2018 God of War. They have a lot of other cool stuff too. So not only will this be, a narrative action game, they have a lot of cool ideas and a lot of puzzles and things that go outside of just the slashing and the stomping.
Yeah, I think we were a little bit down on Ragnarok, but even despite that, I feel like we were down on it because the bar for Sony Santa Monica games is pretty damn high,
and for narrative reasons.
Yeah,
it was pretty
for narrative
rushed.
reasons,
It felt like
that's
they
also
kind of
true.
crammed two games into one.
Exactly.
It wasn't
And-
really the combat; it was that the story was not that satisfying, or just felt rushed.
And it like really meandered to some weird places near the end, as I recall.
But I guess rushing and meandering.
Yeah,
the
somehow.
Metroidvania stuff they did in both of those games is so cool, and like the action is so cool, the puzzles are so like these are great games. My only hope is that the cube doesn't spoil all the puzzle solutions.
I was thinking that too, but I feel like they will probably include an option to turn that off because that's become such a common feature in the options menu for games now, which thank goodness, where you can go in and be like, please, if I'm staring at this puzzle for longer than 5 to 10 seconds, don't have the cube tell me it looks like I could go over there and do this.
Yeah, this was actually something that James Bond, that 007 did a few times that really annoyed me, was that same thing where the character says, oh, you know what I should do is hack into that computer over there.
It's like, screw you, I'm not going to do that.
I was kind of glad in 007's case because a lot of times I was like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. So maybe that was more necessary.
Yeah,
but-
I actually feel like they waited long enough in that game typically before he would finally make a suggestion. And I'd be like, you know what, James?
Yeah.
I'll take your point. I will, in fact, try hacking into that computer.
Anyway, Laufey looks great.
So a couple more games to talk about. So Resident Evil Code Veronica, I'm pretty excited for that. I got to see a little bit more in a presentation that the developers gave backstage at Summer Games Fest Play Days, which is the media event after all the kind of the live streams go up. And the developers, they said a couple things. They wouldn't tell me. I asked them how many Resident Evil teams Capcom has. They said that's a secret. But they told me that the Veronica team, is the team that made RE2 Remake, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and Resident Evil 4 Remake. And their presentation was interesting. Basically, they framed it as like Resident Evil 2 is kind of the basis for a lot of this. And then Leon's story continues with Resident Evil 4 and then Requiem, which came out this year. Whereas Claire's story continues with Code Veronica. And now we'll get to see that for people who didn't play Code Veronica, such as myself. We'll get to see that in this remake, which is pretty cool. And one of the things, remember, the three of us were talking when we played that remake for the pod and did the spoiler cast on it. We were talking about how like the point of it is that Claire is looking for her brother, but that barely comes up. And then at the end, she still hasn't found her brother. Presumably that story continues in Code Veronica. So yeah, really excited to see that remake for sure.
Yeah, that's how the trailer starts, is with her looking for Chris.
Exactly.
Maddie, have you played Code Veronica?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't either. So none of us have played it.
None of us have played it.
I'm somewhat familiar with it, and I'm excited because I like Claire Redfield as a character, and
Me too.
I'm looking forward to playing her. Did they say, Jason, whether it's going to be a combination first and third person or just first person?
Just third person.
Oh, just third
The
person.
trailer
'cause
was
the trailer
a
they
fake
showed
out.
was
The
first
trailer
person.
was a
Oh,
fake
okay.
out.
That's like the beginning of RE3, I guess, is kind of that.
But also, they didn't want
Okay.
us to see Claire in that trailer. I get it. They wanted to not even have it be clear that it was a Resident Evil game at first, which, you know
Right.
what? I like that kind of gimmicky theater. That's what Summer Game Fest is for. I will admit, I was very excited. I saw the letters come on screen. I was like, oh, sick. They're going to remake this Resident Evil game that I feel like I don't know what happens in it. But now I'm going to get to find out. That'll be fun.
And that makes sense given that, RE2 and RE4 remake were both third person because the original game was third person. It would be a more radical change to take one of those games and make it first person. I was curious if they were doing that, but that does make sense.
It's only the newer ones that are first person, right? Like
yes,
starting
correct.
with 7,
Post
right?
7 was the first one. With first person.
We also got to see, I was most excited about this, Final Fantasy VII Part 3. It's called Revelation. It's coming out in the spring. It has a high wind that can go anywhere, and your team parachutes off of it, Fortnite style. And it says, "Where we dropping, boys?" Midgar. And it has a job system, which is wild. And it looks friggin' incredible. And I can't believe that they're releasing it 3 years after Rebirth.
Yeah.
Man, I'm bummed that it's called Revelation, partly because that
we got to get into
nixes
this.
one of my predictions, and also because I think Revelation is a bad name.
Kirk, I spoke to Naoki Hamaguchi, the director, and he had said in the past that they were narrowing it down. They narrowed it down to 2 names, one of which being Revelation. So I was like, hey, what was the other name you narrowed it down to? And he was like, I don't want to say right now, maybe later. And he offered to tell me off the record, but I was like, no, I don't want to know because I don't want to like slip up on the podcast or something. So down the road, I'll get him to tell me, or maybe he'll say publicly what the other name was, and we can find out how close you were to getting your prediction right.
I'm picturing him. He has Revelation and Return in a document, and then he's listening to our predictions episode, and then he just X's out Return.
delete,
does a strike through in real time.
100%.
I don't think so. I think it might be Resolve, because that was one of the words that they said on stage when they were describing
that would also be a bad name. So I think Revelation is such a bad name. There are like 3 other games. It's such a common subtitle for games, and also so often Resident Evil Revelations, Assassin's Creed Revelations, there are no actual meaningful revelations in the game with Revelation in the title. I just think it's a totally overused name.
Okay, but in this game, we do know there will be revelations because we played the 1997 version. And
right. It's not to say that there won't be any revelations, but that it's, I think, a very weak name.
Like maybe this time it actually makes sense calling it that.
Nah, but it's just overused. I think it's not a good name. But I don't want to dwell on that too long. The game actually looks great.
It looks so good.
And just, I don't know, like after playing Rebirth, I kind of cooled on that game just because there was so much of it. It was kind of exhausting. I finished it. We've talked about this. Like, it didn't make my top 10 list that year. It was still great. I liked it a lot, but there were just other games I liked more. But then every time, they get me every time. I hear the music, I see Tifa and Barrett, and I'm like, hell yeah, I can't wait, let's go.
It's my friends. I'm going to hang out with my group of friends, and we're going to save the world together. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is like, okay, the last 2 games have been setting up all these weird changes and kind of dipping their toe in the water at the very least in timeline changes and alternate universes and whatnot. In this one, we finally will see how it all pays off, like how many years of setup finally pays off with Zack, with alternate versions of Aerith. So even like for the story alone, I'm excited to see what they do. And I'll be disappointed if it's just like, psych, it's back to the original story.
Yeah, I mean, a video game series has never spent many years setting up a huge grand finale only to blow it at the last minute. That's never happened. So it's good that we can know that it won't happen this
let's
time.
keep our hopes really high. And then we will definitely not be disappointed, and it'll be fine.
Hey,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it is better to have high hopes. Like, it looks
Why
exciting.
not?
I
It's fun
can't
to
wait
have
for
high
it.
hopes.
Yeah.
They did say on stage as well when they were talking about the trailers that it would be a big open world or some phrase like that, and that definitely gave me pause because I was like, that's actually the stuff in Rebirth that I started to get a little bored by. But that's okay. I didn't need to play every single little game at the Golden Saucer. There was just a heck of a lot of stuff to do in that game, and that worried me slightly. But hey, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy all the actual mainline story stuff because that was also largely how I felt about Rebirth.
Hamaguchi has said fewer mini games.
Good. Good.
Notably, this game is also coming to PC and Xbox at the same time as PlayStation this time, which is cool. I will totally play this on PC.
And Switch. There's also Stranger Than Heaven, which I actually got to play, and it's a weird feeling game. Got used to it.
Is that like a Yakuza game? What is that game
It
like?
does not control like a Yakuza game. And I did not get to play the parts with Tupac, but there was like a combat demo that I got to check out. And it's really weird. You control your left hand with the left bumper and left trigger, and you control your right hand with the right bumper and right trigger. And you kind of like punch with both hands or use a weapon with one hand and punch with the other. And then to guard, you have to kind of like hold down the circle button or cancel button, whatever. B button, whatever it is, and then like hold and then press one of those bumpers to like guard with one hand. It feels kind of fighting game ish. It's very interesting. It took a little while to get the hang of, but once I did, it felt pretty good.
It sounds strange. Would you say that it is stranger than heaven? Or is it
No, not quite stranger than heaven, but definitely stranger than hell. Like somewhere between hell and heaven and the strangeness.
on that
In terms of
spectrum.
strangeness spectrum, which is one we're all familiar with. Yeah, I mean, the Tupac of it all, I feel like really stole the thunder of that announcement because I just saw so many people immediately reacting with discomfort. So
walk me through this. What is going on exactly? I missed that part of the stream. I saw like the images later, but what does it mean that Tupac is in this, or a rendition of Tupac is in this game?
We don't really know. I mean, essentially, they just said, hey, Tupac is in this game. They'd already said that Snoop Dogg was in it. And then he took the stage to reveal that Tupac would also be in it. We don't really know what that means. And it makes no sense because this game is set like way in the past. It's set across.
Well, I guess that part
set
makes
across.
sense.
It's set across various.
Tupac was still alive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Jason means way in the past.
No.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The pre-Tupac era.
Yeah, no, Maddy, I'm talking about like it's set across 5 different decades. I don't remember exactly what they are, but it starts off in the like late 1800s / early 1900s and goes up through
Who's to say Tupac was not alive in the late 1800s?
Well, if they can recreate him today, who said they couldn't recreate him for the 19th century?
Exactly.
I mean, the monks.
Maybe
the
Tupac
ancient
was
monks
always with us.
Had all kinds of technology.
It ends in the 1960s when maybe Tupac was a baby, so maybe we'll see baby Tupac. Anyway, I don't know. I don't want to dwell on that, but it's weird. It's super weird.
It's weird.
It is odd. Yes.
Anything else from the Keighley showcase that struck you guys? There was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game from Platinum that was announced.
Oh, yeah, that was
Yeah.
Achilles. That's The Last Ronin. That is promising. I'm actually pretty excited about that. So there's an interesting story behind that. I have not read the comic series this is based on, but it was written fairly recently by Kevin Eastman, one of the creators of the Ninja Turtles. And it is it's a really cool story. I know the setup and some of the basics. I guess I won't get into them because it's kind of revealed to you over the course of the story, and I guess it will be in the game too. And some people probably haven't read the comics and don't know. But it's really cool. It's this kind of gritty alternate Ninja Turtles universe. I think they call it the Ronin-verse. So it's become its own whole thing. And there have been a number of failed adaptations. There was going to be a game made about it, made by a different studio that got canceled. There was like a cinematic adaptation. So Paramount knows they've got something cool here. This kind of gritty world where only one of the Ninja Turtles survives. And I think it's Shredder's, son or something is in charge of all of New York. And it's this like authoritarian thing where like the one turtle has to do like a true kind of ninja uprising to get revenge and has all the weapons of all the Ninja Turtles, which is then really suited to a Platinum game where you can switch between, the swords and the bow and the side and the nunchucks and like do all the different all the moves. And so, yeah, but it's dark. It's, dark in the way that's kind of true to the origins of Ninja Turtles, if anyone is familiar with that. I am definitely optimistic about that game, even though they didn't show it at all. So I need to know more about it, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Sounds like it pretty much just started development, so it'll probably be a minute. A couple other announcements that were there. Alien Isolation 2, which I played. Not a fun video game.
I bet. Fun,
the
not
first one
the
wasn't
word.
fun.
Not the word.
That's not really what they're going for.
Yeah, not the Watcher. Stellar Blade sequel. Guild Wars 3, Wolf Among Us 2 got kind of a re-reveal.
Oh, yeah.
Did either of you play Wolf Among Us? Am I the only one who's played
I
it?
haven't, but I do know that people who love it really love it. So I was excited sympathetically for those people when I saw that trailer.
So they also announced a remake or like remaster of the first one that's going to come out, I think, in December. It is...
Which I don't understand. Why do you need to remaster that game? Like, didn't it come out?
I don't know. Maybe to put it on new platforms. It still looks good.
That's
would
what I
imagine
mean. Like, what does it need a remaster for? Very strange.
I don't know. Maybe it like connects it to actually. Maybe it's connected to the Telltale thing where they have servers that keep track of your decisions, and they want to just reset all of that so that you're connecting to new servers and you're getting new percentages based on the decisions. I will say that the Wolf Among Us is really cool. It's totally worth checking out. You two would like it. I don't know if either of you have read the comic series. Well, Jason, you probably haven't. Maddie, have you read Fables? Any of those comics?
Fair assumption.
I haven't. I'm not in on any of this.
So it's because it's an adaptation of the Fables comic series, which I've actually read a lot of. They're very cool. It's this kind of the idea is that all of the fairy tale creatures, the big bad wolf, Cinderella, etc., have had to come to New York and are now living incognito. And so they have their own little society with all these different rules. The big bad wolf is kind of the sheriff. He's essentially this like noir detective who's in charge of everything. And he looks like a man most of the time, but then he can transform into a wolf. And it's really this kind of noir, gritty storytelling, but with characters from the famous fairy tales. And it's a really cool series, especially the first few years of it. I really liked them a lot. And the game really is very true to the comics and is fantastic. It's one of the best games Telltale made, I think. Great to the end, has a great finale, good storytelling. That and Tales from the Borderlands are probably my two favorites. So it's cool that it's being released and people can play it. And I'm, hopeful about the sequel. I hope it's cool too.
So then Xbox had their showcase on Sunday. They announced a bunch of new stuff. I think the biggest news was that they announced that after 2 years of going almost fully multi-platform, they are now going back to Xbox exclusives. And they said that Gears of War E-Day will be Xbox console exclusive, as will Clockwork Revolution, which is coming next year. They also announced that they showed a little bit more Fable. They announced a few other things. They gave a release date for the Castlevania game from the Dead Cells people. They announced a new Spyro. They announced Persona 6, as we mentioned earlier. But the Gears was definitely the biggest takeaway from that one.
Yeah, it's interesting because although they didn't mention this in the presentation, Gears on its pages still says it's going to be available on Windows, which to me, right. It is exclusive.
No, they did say that on the presentation.
Okay. I feel like they were really hammering the Xbox of it all.
They said specifically Gears and Clockwork are both going to be Xbox console exclusives. They're still releasing everything on PC, which again, as we've said on this show several times, means that it's not really an exclusive, which means...
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah. But that's fine. I get how you're still allowed to say it's a console exclusive, even if it's also on Windows.
The whole thing is just it's not a nothing burger, but it's very little. It just means a slight retreat from a initiative that was only just kind of beginning. They've been releasing games on PC for a long time. That will continue. These games are still going to be on Steam. So the only thing that's changed is that they're not going to eventually release stuff on PlayStation, which they'd only kind of just started doing.
Yeah.
So it just seems like nowhere near as big of a move as it might have been. I don't know. It seems overblown to me.
Yeah, they did put out the Gears of War remake on PlayStation 5 pretty famously. And when I was at the Xbox presentation in person last year, they had me play it on a PS5. And that was part of what they were marketing about that remake at that time. It was like, wow, you can play Gears, a famous Xbox game, on a PS5. So I guess in light of that, it's a little weird. But you're right, Kirk. It's like they took one step forward and they're like, okay, now we're back.
Well, no, but it is a big deal because a lot of the studios within the Xbox org have been given all these financial pressures over the last year. And part of the way that they make up for that, or part of the way they hit their goals, is by releasing games to the 90 million plus PlayStation users. A lot of the games that they've released on PlayStation have actually sold pretty well. Indiana Jones did really well on PlayStation. Forza Horizon 5, not this one, but the last one, did really well on PlayStation. So it is a significant deal if you're releasing a game. And in this case, Gears of War, they were preparing a PlayStation version of that game that they now suddenly have to cut out, which I imagine is the sort of thing you can only do if you're running the coalition and you are promised by Asha Sharma and Matt Booty that you don't actually have to hit these crazy profit goals for this game, because otherwise you are carving out, like you were getting rid of millions of people. And then from a developer's perspective, you're also, even if you don't care about like sales, you're still depriving, you're losing a big chunk of your audience, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I don't want to say that it's actually nothing. Like clearly it is, there's something to it. partly remains to be seen, right? Like, is Elder Scrolls 6 really not going to come to PlayStation?
That's the big one.
That's one
That's
question.
a big question.
And also, a lot of these games still are coming to PlayStation. So it just, I don't know. Yeah, like 2 games not coming to PlayStation. It's not nothing, obviously. It's something. And it matters to the developers, sure. It's just like trumpeting this as like Xbox returns to exclusivity. It's like, I mean, they were already not exclusive. They were already releasing everything on PC.
Yes. I mean, what you're getting at really is that none of this makes any sense. It's not clear.
Right.
And
like,
also, it's like, I've described it to a few people over the weekend as rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, because there's very little that Xbox can do to really get that business to like the
Catch
growth
up.
that they used to have.
Yeah. Sad.
It's still a profitable business, but not a growing one, as far as I know. Anything else at the Xbox showcase?
I mean,
you guys?
E-Day looked fun. It looked fun to play. Like the trailer for E-Day looked fun. I'll play it on an Xbox.
yeah, it looked like yours. It looked, the lights were very pretty. The lighting effects were
You got
impressive.
a chainsaw.
Man, there's no series that I'm less interested in, but you guys,
I know,
you guys
but
will
I like
enjoy it.
those.
I always start them and then sort of run out of steam, but I liked the first few. I thought that Fable was a little weird. I'm kind of weirded out by that game. I don't know what it is. I mean, I know what Fable is. I really liked the original Fable games, but the trailers for this thing just keep being these, big budget movies, basically. This is Haley Atwell, an actress I really like, doing a great job. It just felt weird again, like watching a bunch of stuff that looks sort of like a video game, but they've delayed it so many times. I just am not getting a great vibe from it, as impressive and pretty as those trailer videos they show are. Bing! Kirk here editing the episode, and I just wanted to mention there is a gameplay demo that Xbox posted to YouTube. I watched some of it. It looks like a video game, so you can actually see the game even if they didn't show it at the press conference. And yeah, I mean, we'll see what this thing is when it comes out. Just wanted to mention that. Bing!
This game started development in 2017.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there
That's
was
almost
that
10 years
one.
ago.
There was that one trailer a while back where they showed off the town and were like, you can buy any building in this town. But yeah, I mean, it's been delayed many times. It was supposed to come out last year, slipped, and then slipped again to February of next year as a result of GTA. They didn't want to be in November.
Did they let you play it, Jason, or no?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe they had playable demos at the Xbox event.
One other game that I liked was Vivarium, which is the Studio Ghibli-looking life sim. I just thought it was a nice change. So many of these streams were just like the Souls-like, set in like an Asian setting, fighting things with a sword, like where you're wearing that armor with the katana and you're fighting some demon. And they just all look like that. Or a first-person shoot, like it was just so samey. And then seeing this game, this hand-drawn looking beautiful life sim that takes place inside of a little domed world. I don't even know what it was. It was just really pretty. It looked like a Studio Ghibli movie, and I thought it looked cool, and I want to know more about it. It was a refreshing change of pace.
That art style is so close to Ghibli that it kind of raises a little bit of an eyebrow. One other game that got announced, if you guys remember, is called Bad Magpie. It was like this little indie thing where you play as a bird and you're going around. It was a little thing. You guys might not have noticed it, but I did
like a
play
kind of
that.
Untitled Goose thing.
Yeah, it was kind of Untitled Goose. Like I played it. It's kind of like a less frustrating Untitled Goose. It was really cute. It's like you go around and you just like cause a ruckus as this little bird.
I love Untitled Goose. I didn't think it was frustrating, so that sounds fun.
Yeah, I love
Play
that
another game like that. Horrible bird games. It's a fun subgenre.
So yeah, you're going around this little playground and you're just kind of like collecting these gems by like you pick up a horn at one point and blow some music to shatter glass, and then you go inside of it. You go inside of this like little school room and you're just causing all sorts of ruckus. You're like harassing mice.
Man, I'm glad that a goose like really sounds.
It really
goose-like
is.
like a
It's very
new-
very goose like. It's very cute. I really enjoyed
But
it.
you're a magpie, so you're collecting shiny things. I love that. That's very
Collecting
magpie-esque.
shiny crystals as a magpie does. Next up, we had Nintendo, which had a direct. Couple of things that I noted there. One was a Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy Resonance, that is like an HD 2D Final Fantasy with turn-based combat, which is a unique one, a new one, and that's based on the mobile game Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Kind of like Octopath. Octopath did a similar thing. I think that's like a trend for Square now to take their mobile gacha games and kind of revise them as console games, which I think is pretty cool. And then, of course, Ocarina of Time. A year after we play it for our predictions bet, it gets a remake in true triple click. This is like the third time that's happened.
Not a bad thing, I would say. Also, another example of an announcement trailer for something that had widely been rumored at the very least, and the trailer showed almost nothing.
100%.
Yeah,
and it's like, I think these PR, like NCL, I mean, Nintendo, the way they operate is very strange, of course. We all know that. But like, you need to be a little more nimble than that and recognize that if a game is leaked pretty widely, a lot of people know it happened. Then again, I don't know. I could be wrong. It could be just like in hardcore enthusiast circles it leaked, and like a lot of people out there who are Nintendo fans who would tune into this direct or are seeing the news on TikTok or something like that. They had no idea that it leaked, and so they're all pretty jazzed. I don't know. I could be wrong. To me, it just seems like
and they could just see it. They could see it as this gets people talking about it. It doesn't really matter. Then later they're going to show gameplay and then everyone will talk about that. I mean, maybe they see it that way. It is just it was a sort of frustrating teaser. And so I don't like feeling frustrated. So I kind of wish they had, if it just ended just by showing Hyrule Field or something, like just a little bit of the game.
And it's weird because it's supposed to come out this year. So you would think they would want to show a little more.
Yeah, that was strange to me. I feel like if something's coming out that soon, then they should show us a little more. But maybe they didn't feel like they need to.
Presumably they'll do a dedicated direct in a month or two or something.
Yeah, they probably will. That's very Nintendo.
Do you guys think they're going to go head to head with GTA with Ocarina of Time? And so the theory,
two open world games of 2026.
The
Ocarina
theory
remake?
is that the original Ocarina of Time for N64 was released on November 21st. So the theory is that they would try to time that date. GTA right now, I believe, is planned for November 19th. So that would be quite a Oppenheimer, Barbenheimer situation.
What would we call it?
Ocarina?
Yeah, Ocarina.
That doesn't really roll off the tongue at all. Ocarina Theft Auto.
GT
Grand Theft
Ocarina.
Ocarina. These are all fine.
Zelda.
These are all great ideas.
It's interesting. I mean, on one hand, GTA 6, as far as we know, is not coming to Switch 2 on that date. On the other hand, Nintendo presumably wants the media attention and social media attention eyeballs that will be taken by GTA. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about. Or maybe Ocarina comes in September or October. Who knows?
I'm just very curious what this game is going to be. I mean, this is a remake of one of the most important and beloved video games of all time. Even listening to the music in that trailer, it's going to have a whole new score re-recorded. All of that amazing music is going to be reinterpreted. There's a lot of room for cool stuff to happen. There's also a lot of room for missteps. We did just play through the original. That was my first time playing all the way through it. And there's something very special about that game. So we'll see. But I'm at least very curious in how they're actually going to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, what is frustrating to your point earlier is that we don't know if this is going to be a remaster, that it kind of like Link's Awakening was, where it's just a dedicated recreation one-to-one with modern graphics, or a remake that actually changes things about the game. I would prefer the latter because I feel like we can just play the 3DS version if we want the original.
They kind of did that already.
But we don't know. We don't know the answer to that yet.
It'd be wild if they actually changed the dungeons. And I mean, that would blow my mind, honestly. And I feel like it would be such an answer to all the people who are like, modern Zelda doesn't have dungeons anymore. I miss Ocarina of Time. Like, what if they just put it out and it was Ocarina of Time, but with new dungeons?
I mean, imagining a remade water temple, that it could be really cool.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Anything else from the direct stand out to you guys?
I mean, Kingdom Hearts. I get why you aren't bringing it up, but they did put out another trailer for that. I will play it.
The reason I'm not bringing it up, Maddy, is because they didn't give a release date or even a release window for it. So to me, it was just kind of like more footage that looks like Kingdom Hearts.
It does. It does.
It looks
and it
cool.
doesn't.
It looks great.
It kind of doesn't look like Kingdom Hearts in ways that are weird. Like Sora just has normal sized shoes on. Like they're not giving him big goofy clown shoes anymore. He's wearing a normal pair of sneakers. What's up with that? Weird. That's going to have lore importance, people. That's going to be a big part of the story.
Is he like in Tokyo now? Is that the deal?
I don't know. I don't know where he is.
I'm really excited about Fire Emblem Fortunes Weave
Oh,
and
that
had not
looked cool.
internalized that is coming out in September. That's another one of these September games.
Well, that was just announced, Kirk. You didn't
Okay,
internalize
maybe
it
that's
because
why.
it just came out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I missed the stream, so I didn't realize if it had been announced or not. So, man, another September game. One that I'm definitely going to play because I love Three Houses, and this one looks a lot like Three Houses. But, man, one more on the pile of September. And a meaty, long tactics role-playing game at that. So that's making September seem even more daunting to me.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to play that. I played a pretty significant chunk of Fire Emblem Engage despite not really caring about the story at all, just because it was really fun to play that game. So I feel like even worst case scenario, I'm going to have a good time with the new Fire Emblem. And best case, it'll be Three Houses level of story and character.
And it says, I think I saw in a preview that this is like there are 4 different houses or sort of groups, and you pick a protagonist from one of them. Like it has that Three Houses set up at the beginning where there are multiple stories so you can replay it. And man, I'm so there for this. I can't wait.
Man, that is going to be a rough month. Presumably some of those games are going to slip, but it is going to be...
But they won't want to slip because of GTA, though. Like they're going to be really trying.
All of October is
It's true. They have 1 month grace period.
Or you slip to December or something. Any other kind of games from like all of the various announcements that you guys saw that stood out to you? Because I have a few games that I played on the show floor that I want to tell you guys about that were cool. But first I want to hear if there's anything you guys saw that really stood out to you.
I'll mention a couple more that I liked. I think Threads of Time looks amazing. That Chrono Trigger inspired JRPG style game. Holy cow. It was on my radar. I was aware that there was like a Chrono Trigger inspired game, but that demo that they showed during Day of the Devs was super cool. I think just like it looks beautiful. I really want to know more about it and play it. That looked very cool.
I believe the developer of that listens to our show because he came up to me at DICE.
Oh, nice. Shout outs.
He came up to me at DICE in 2025 to just be like, hey, I made this game. You should check it out. And like, I'm a fan, whatever. You should check out this game, and showed it to me. And then, they just showcased it in Day of the Devs.
To list a few more, Dreadmore, the first-person take on Dredge, which is kind of a horror fishing game, just looked neat, looked like kind of different, looked like something that might break through. That was also on the Day of the Devs stream. I don't know if this was on a stream, but they announced a sequel to El Paso Elsewhere, the strange scaffold game that's a kind of a Max Payne riff, like OG Max Payne 1, that I really liked. I liked that first game. Maybe that and I Am Your Beast, my 2 favorite strange scaffold games. And I'm excited for a sequel to that, like fleshing that out and adding some more. The original was kind of bare bones, could be very cool, and it had a pretty cool story, so I want to know what happens next. And then the last one is another Paramount licensed game, Star Trek Shadow Frontier, that I missed if it was on a stream and then watched the trailer later. This is like made by Team Bloober, who have gotten pretty good at making horror games. It looks like it's another space horror game, but it's starring Ro Laren, and it's set in the Star Trek universe. And I've actually never been wild about Ro as a character, Ensign Ro. I've really only watched Next Generation, so I didn't watch Deep Space Nine, where she was more of a character. But she is a little bit of a question mark for me as a character, but a great pick for starring in this kind of game. And just watching the trailer, I was like, okay, I'm at least interested in this. I want to learn more about it. So that's another one that caught my eye.
Yeah, I'm interested in this. I like Deep Space Nine a lot. I will say, I don't know if horror is the genre I would have gone to as a Deep Space Nine fan. I might have just done like a social or like a dating sim. That's kind of more the vibe of that show. It's such a hangout show, but I can put on my big girl pants and play a Bloober Team Star Trek horror game.
They've definitely, like, Strange New Worlds has leaned more into horror. There's kind of more horror stuff in that show. And they lean into, they're just like trapped on an alien planet, or like horrible aliens have taken over the ship and it becomes a kind of survival horror situation.
Yeah, and they do stuff like that on Next Gen as well. Now that you mention it, it's not out of the question.
That's certainly what the game looked like, so we'll see.
The Star Trek and the Ninja Turtles game are both under Paramount, which is in an interesting place, having just been bought by David Ellis and Skydance, and will soon presumably be merged with Warner in some way. So that's really interesting, and will be interesting to just kind of keep an eye on.
Yeah, they've had a whole press initiative or something. There's been a lot of interviews.
Yeah, they just announced their new Paramount Games division. That's why.
Right. And the main thing is, it just seems to me inevitable that we're going to start getting games out of the the Sheridan verse, the Yellowstone world, because it's like the most popular TV series in the world. I think all three of us don't watch those shows and aren't very aware, like aren't interested, but it's like they're massively popular and there's a ton of different kinds of games they could make in that world. So that seems very likely to me now that they're pushing.
That's a good prediction. It's too bad you didn't put that in your predictions, Matt. Maybe next year you should.
I like that idea, but do you think the demographic of the Sheridan verse plays a lot of games? I guess I don't know like who watches those. Is it older people?
So many people.
It's just so many that it's like
those shows are
demographic.
Incredibly popular. It seems like
they're huge.
They'll
They're
at least
massive.
give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean,
but if you could like manage the
a good
Dutton
thought.
Ranch and like get involved in all of these whatever, like all the hijinks and the sort of intrigue of that show, like that seems like the kind of game that a large audience would want to play.
Those seem like mobile games. Those seem like they should be mobile games. Like
Could
that
be.
feels like the best fit for Sheridan verse games. Okay, before we wrap this up and get into one more thing, I do want to tell you guys about some of the games I played. I played a shitload of games at Playdays, Summer Games Fest Playdays, which is like the media component of it. I won't list every single one. I'll just give you a few highlights. One is called Slap Out of It, which is a first-person puzzler that I feel like all three of us are going to love.
Hell yeah.
Basically, your arms can just like extend and slap things, and it's a very fun mechanic where you pull the triggers to like extend your arm and slap something, and then you just use that to solve like a bunch of kind of escape room style point and click puzzles. And it's very charming and hilarious.
Nice.
The art looks a lot like Bug Snacks, like it's these people who look like Bug Snacks people.
Is it a first-person game?
First-person
or a
game,
third
yeah.
person? First-person.
First-person
With like,
puzzle.
so you got big, long, floaty arms, like in the. Okay.
Yeah, and the
good.
story behind the developer is really interesting. It's this developer called Turbo Button, and they made these VR games called Floor Plan. And this game is kind of based on those. You know those? They're like one of the only game developers that made money and was profitable in VR.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
go
how they're
them.
funding this game.
Those games are very highly regarded in a lot of people.
Yes. They make good games. I've known one of the guys behind it, Holden. I've known him forever, and yeah, he's always been just like navigating this VR world, which has been really interesting. This is their first non-VR game, which will be cool.
Nice.
I played some Onimusha. We'll talk about that more when it comes out, but it's cool. I played a game called Valor Mortis, which is a first-person Souls-like game set in like this alternate fiction Napoleon, like 1800s. It's the War of Napoleon.
Yeah.
You play as part of Napoleon's
Remember
army,
that on
and everyone's
stream.
coming
that
back as
trailer was
zombies.
wild.
It's super cool, and it feels really good. That game, we got to keep an eye on this game.
That's good to hear, because I actually thought that trailer looked kind of sick.
It did. It looked to me like the first time I'd really seen understandable, just from a viewing perspective, understandable Souls combat in first person.
So this was made by a team that made that game Ghost Runner, which did really well.
That's a great. I played the first one. Great game.
A lot of parkour, a lot of really cool parkour in that game. This takes that to and adds this like really satisfying, crunchy like sword combat, and it's really brutal and gore filled, but it's got some good stuff in it. I played that demo, really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed that demo.
Also, like a historical fiction time period that I feel like the depths haven't yet been plumbed. Like, I feel like I don't really see that much Napoleonic War historical fiction,
Exactly.
and certainly not in games. So I definitely saw it and was like, oh, this is original and cool.
Exactly. It's not like another friggin' like, oh, here's a Souls like in China. It's like a unique setting that we haven't seen before, which I think is cool. No shade on the China games, but there are a lot of them. Couple more games. I mentioned Bad Magpie. I played Tomb Raider, Legacy of Atlantis, the remake. Pretty cool. That's going to be another one that I think we're all going to like and enjoy playing.
Those older Tomb Raider games are great.
They are fun.
The puzzles are very cool. They're mostly just puzzle games, and they're really cool. So I'm looking forward to having a more modernized version.
So it's funny you say that, because the demo I played had some puzzles and some really cool climbing and fun puzzle solving. And Lara didn't just say the answers to the puzzles. And then had a section where like you get chased by dinosaurs and have to shoot them. That part was a little less interesting than the puzzles, but
Yeah, that famously happens in the original Tomb Raider.
Looks really
it's
good.
also like pretty silly. In the
gorgeous looking game.
Nice.
I played Escape Academy 2.
Oh, that's
Hell yeah.
awesome.
Killer.
I like the first one. I think I made it
Killer.
a One More Thing a while back.
Love the first one.
Yes, both of you enjoyed that. I really enjoyed this one. Some really cute, fun puzzles. I sat down
great.
and played them in co-op with a friend of the show, Billy Shibley. who is a producer on that game and would love to have come on. I was telling him he should come on the show and talk about it because he was saying some really interesting stuff that I think would bring a lot to the show. We were talking a little bit about some cool stuff.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
and that's cool
really
you played it in split screen because that is the way to play the original. It's a really fun split screen game.
Yes. I mentioned Stranger Than Heaven. One more, Grave Seasons. I didn't get to play a ton of this, but I had seen it last year and was really impressed by it last year. This is a game that is like Stardew Valley with murder mysteries inside of it. And it seems really cool. Keep it on your radars. It's coming later this year. It's essentially just like I said, it's a farming game where there's a murder every month or so, and you can like pinpoint these clues and figure out who did it. And different playthroughs have different murders, but it's not procedurally generated. It's all handcrafted.
Yeah, this is one of those Blumhouse video games.
Yes.
From their label.
Looks really cool. I'm really excited about it. The demo I played didn't really tell me much because it's not really an easily demoed game, but I really love the art style, and I think it looks pretty damn cool.
Nice.
But yeah, some of those, a lot of cool stuff coming, I would say.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, a lot of cool games to look forward to.
All right, why don't we take a break and then we'll be back for one more thing.
Sunscreen companies calculate SPF by testing it on volunteers' butts.
There is a can of Spam in the Mariana Trench.
A Nobel Prize-winning physicist from the Manhattan Project invented modern speed bumps.
Mesoamerican native people invented kidney medicine that glows in the dark.
On the podcast Secretly Incredibly Fascinating, we explore this kind of amazing stuff.
Stuff about ordinary topics like sunscreen and Spam and speed bumps.
Topics you'd never expect to be the title of the podcast, Secretly Incredibly Fascinating.
Find us by searching for the word secretly in your podcast app.
And at MaximumFun.org.
If you like too many podcasts, you'll love Soundheap with John Luke Roberts. It's got clips from all your favourite podcasts, such as Diary of a Tiny CEO.
Leonard Sprague, tell me how you make your money.
I go to the beach and I steal people's towels.
Remember Armour.
Do you remember the trend of everyone whacking themselves on the head with hammers and mallets when they wanted to lose weight?
And Elty John's Lobberly Songs.
I'm here today with Kiki D. Hello, Kiki D.
Hello, Elton.
There's dozens of episodes to catch up on, and brand new episodes going out right now. So, if you want far, far, far too many podcasts, then look for Soundheap on Maximum Fun. Boop, boop.
And we are back. It is time for one more thing. Maddy, start us off.
Sure. I watched a movie from 2013 called American Hustle that I had never seen before. Why did I watch it? Because I'm still listening to the Chasing Amy Adams podcast, and Amy Adams is in this movie, and she is freaking incredible in it. They have completed the run. That podcast is done with Amy Adams. They've watched all of her movies up to the present day, and they're doing Gwyneth Paltrow next, which is going to be really interesting because she's a much more divisive figure, and they've talked about that. So that'll be fun.
Did they change the name of the podcast?
They changed the name of the podcast. It's called Supporting Actresses now. It's like a pun on the Supporting Actress.
Oh, that's good. That's
award.
a great name.
That is good.
Isn't
I
that
just
great?
had the same thought. That's a great name.
Great
Good
name.
job.
It's actually, they're great. I really recommend this podcast. I've talked
Supporting
about it a lot because
actresses.
I really like it. And when they did their American Hustle episode, I had kind of been like watching along with the podcast, and I couldn't find it streaming anywhere when they did that ep, but it is very briefly on Netflix right now. So if you're listening to this like very soon, it's leaving Netflix at the end of this month. So if you downloaded this right away and you want to watch this movie on Netflix, you can. They weren't so hot on this movie in part because, I don't know if you two remember, but there was like a lot of controversy surrounding this movie because it was directed by David O. Russell, and specifically Amy Adams talked after the fact about how his treatment of her on set was disturbing. And they talk about that a lot on the podcast and go into full detail about the allegations. And I think some people kind of are familiar largely with how Russell has been kind of alleged to be sort of a toxic director, and kind of people can look into that on their own time. And the movie, I do think, is really good, though, and really worth watching. And if not only for her performance, which I think is haunting and incredible and just so understated at times, but also just because the plot is really cool and weird. It's like a highly fictionalized version of a real life FBI operation that happened in the 70s and 80s. So it's a period piece, which is fun. Everybody gets to wear goofy costumes of the time. And the FBI operation was just completely wild, and reading about the real operation after the fact was also fun. It was called the Abscam operation. Basically, like an FBI handler hired a bunch of con artists to work with him in order to help defraud various politicians into just financial misdealings, and how they pull off the con it's fun. I mean, it's fun to watch con artistry, but also there's like some tragedy involved because the con artists, Amy Adams is one of the con artists, and she has kind of a tragic story at the heart of this movie. So yeah, really recommend it, and recommend the accompanying podcast so you kind of know the bittersweet story of the film. So yeah, that's American Hustle. Came out in 2013. Still really interesting.
Nice. This seems like one I would like more if I rewatched it. I remember I did not care for it when I watched it. I saw it in theaters when it came out, and I thought it was a huge mess.
It's such a mess. But it's so weird.
I wonder if I saw it again, if I would just think this is a plenty interesting movie that was just fun to watch. I could kind of see that.
Yeah, it's like meandering and weird, and mostly just Christian Bale and Bradley Cooper and Amy Adams and Jennifer Lawrence just like playing unlikable characters for a couple hours.
Unbelievable cast,
yeah.
like top to bottom. There's just so many amazing actors in it.
I remember being interested in it because of the cast, but then hearing what you just said, that was like a mess of a movie.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like it, but I kind of enjoyed the ride of it. And I think it helped that I had really low expectations and was like, I know this movie is going to be a mess. But I think the performances are so interesting that it's still worth it. And the con is also interesting. So can't help but have some parts of it be good because of that.
Nice.
Okay, Kirk, what's your one more thing?
So my one more thing is going to be a very abridged recitation of a current event that I only just stumbled into that is like the most insane thing that I'm sure a lot of our listeners are very aware of, or at least tangentially aware of. I was pretty not aware of it just because I guess it didn't puncture my internet bubbles. But this is the RecklessBen versus Bricks and Minifigs fiasco. The two of you are smiling. It looks like you're both aware of this.
I have read some attempts to explain what happened. 404 Media has a really long article that I read that it summarized it.
Yeah,
so
tangentially. I want to hear your kind of explanation of this.
Yeah.
So I'll tell just my story of experiencing it. I am not going to explain it because it would take forever. Like it would take like an hour.
Okay.
And also it would be exhausting and I would get a ton of stuff wrong because it's
Can you put a link in the show notes that like explains?
labyrinthine. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So,
good idea.
Yes. I guess I'll say at the very beginning, Mike Masnick at Tech Dirt has written a terrific 6,000 word breakdown of this. We will link to that. And that is also, I actually found that via the 404 article, which is paywalled. 404 also has a great breakdown of this. And things are happening very quickly in this story. There are current events that I don't know if they're in either of those stories, but there are updates happening regularly. I first heard about it due to the Jack Conte Patreon element of this story that came up just fairly recently. And that just led, I think my YouTube algorithm just recommended me one of these videos. And I just watched it with no context other than knowing there was a thing going on.
Oh my God.
So you're saying the YouTube algorithm is a great thing for humanity, and it's really...
Sometimes it's not
so
too
I
bad.
watched part 2, which is a 35-minute video mostly surrounding the police force in this Utah town that this YouTuber gets involved with. And it was like a crazy video. And watching it, I just kept thinking, I can't believe this. What in the world? And I went back and started the video from the beginning and I was even more just like drawn in by it. And it was so weird and wild.
Can I just say something? There's a Wikipedia page called Bricks and Minifigs RecklessBen Controversy that has 49 sources on it.
Yes, I have read it. So anyways, to say, I don't want to spend too long without giving a nutshell for people, but I watched these videos and was really drawn in by RecklessBen's YouTube videos. And then eventually when I went and read about it, I kind of wished I had started by just reading a big article explaining what was going on. As entertaining as the YouTube videos are, now that I'm glad I have the whole story. And a little bit of this, like my takeaway from this is kind of start with the just full big picture journalism. Don't start with the really exciting, fun YouTube video that doesn't tell you everything that happened. So that would be my main advice to people is read Mike Masnick's article and then go watch the videos because they are very entertaining and kind of crazy, like that they exist and are still up on the internet. But okay, let me give the really quick nutshell. Basically, this guy named Brian Mansell, his father is getting pretty old. He's in his 80s, and he owns this massive collection of Star Wars Lego sets. They've described it as the world's biggest collection. Who knows? They've said it's valued at like $200,000. It's worth a lot of money, and it's this huge collectible, collection that he's had for a really long time. And then they wanted to sell it, and so they give it on consignment. They're selling it through this local store in Salem, Oregon called Bricks and Minifigs, which is a franchise of like a big company that has like a whole bunch of different franchises in different locations. Then through a series of events, all of this alleged because it's not totally clear everything that happened, even though there's video evidence of some of this. Basically, like the franchise closed, corporate came in and repossessed the contents of the store, and it appears as though Mansell and his father were screwed out of some amount of the Lego sets they had consigned, that they had in consignment at the store. And the store is basically not giving them their money or giving them back the Legos. And there was kind of nothing he could do. Like they said to him, well, yeah, you can sue us, but it's just going to be a huge expensive legal headache, and it'll cost you more than you would even get back from us, so what are you going to even do? So this guy goes to YouTubers and he begins trying to tell people like, look, this happened, this sucks, this is like not fair. Some YouTubers like Lego YouTubers start posting about it. They start getting takedown notices from Bricks and Minifigs, or at least saying that they did. And then he reaches out to this YouTuber called RecklessBen, whose name is Ben Schneider. And RecklessBen is described in the Tech Dirk article as Timu Nathan Fielder, which I thought was a kind of a funny description. Maybe a little harsh. He's a young guy. He does kind of the Nathan Fielder thing of like really committing to incredibly elaborate bits that are far more elaborate than they need to be, and then just kind of acting nonplussed when they don't go as expected, even though he's like, well, why? I did this whole crazy elaborate thing. What's wrong? So Ben Schneider gets a hold of it and he starts going after Bricks and Minifigs in a number of different ways. And he documents them in this video that it's like, this is over the course of many years, really. It's this long thing of trying to figure out, where are the Legos? Can I get them back? Will you return them to this guy? And kind of just like escalating and constantly like re-engaging and coming back again and again and again to bother these people and try to get them to return the Star Wars figures. It goes from there, and I can't describe any more of it. But like at this point, Ben Schneider has gone to Mexico to escape what he says are charges that have been filed in Utah. There's a whole video about this Utah police force that he alleges are in the pocket of the two guys who stole the Legos. He gets arrested multiple times. There's all this dash cam and body cam footage from the cops that they've gotten through like Freedom of Information that they're posting in the YouTube video. The videos are all redacted, but then people on Reddit are saying that they've released the real audio. I could go on and on and on. I mean, it's like it's an endless rabbit hole.
This is going to be a great Netflix documentary soon.
It's funny, actually, that a bunch of the comments on YouTube are like, this should be a Netflix documentary. And then the responses will be like, whatever, this is the documentary. Which I think points to a very interesting place that we're at right now, where YouTube is kind of the place you go to get this incredibly engaging content. I mean, I'm watching this video. I put it on for Emily, and we're just watching it, like laughing and being like, what are we watching? This is totally wild. But at the same time, it's not a complete picture, as much as it seems likely a lot of the things that they're alleging about the owners of this store are true. And it does seem really unfair what happened. They at the very least seem really shady in sending takedown notices to everybody. It's also like, I don't know, like watching the video does not feel like a complete picture. Certainly not after watching legal experts weigh in on this, reading this Tech Dirt article where he really breaks down, the ins and outs and all the stuff in different court cases and filings that, aren't included in the video. So I don't know. It is interesting to think there could be a documentary about this later that would not be as engaging as the original YouTube videos, but it would include much more information and tell the whole story. And that's kind of the most frustrating part of this, or the least satisfying part, is that there was going to be a third video that RecklessBen was going to post that now he can't. He's been served in one of these many lawsuits. And basically, if he posts the video or says anything else about Bricks and Minifigs, I think, he'll lose. They did a GoFundMe. He'll lose all the money from the GoFundMe that he raised for this guy, Brian Mansell. They'll lose a lot of stuff. They could go to jail. All this bad stuff could happen. So he posted a short video just saying, all right, normally I would just say fuck them and post it, but there's like too much on the line and I'm not going to post it. So this is the last you're going to hear from me. I do not think this is the last we're going to hear about this story. This has, of course, like ignited the internet. People are obsessed with it. I can totally see why. And if anyone out there has kind of heard about this a little bit, I would recommend the Tech Dirt article. And then in that article, he also recommends a video by Leonard French, who is a lawyer with a YouTube channel called Lawful Masses, who did a big video where he's just breaking down a lot of the legal aspects of this. And that is also very interesting. Like, just the idea that if anybody involved in this had spoken to lawyers much sooner in the process, like the whole thing wouldn't have happened. The content would not have been as tremendous, but a lot of the whole disaster of this thing could have maybe been averted.
So basically that Darren Rovell tweet where he's like, I feel bad for America, but this is great content. That's what you're saying, Kirk.
That was my feeling repeatedly watching the YouTube videos. It was like, well, my God, this content is incredible, even if I have incredibly conflicted feelings about this.
Man.
And I was very glad I went and read about it. So yeah, mostly to recommend that Tech Dirt breakdown. And just to say, this is a wild story. Like, I can totally see why this has caught on and become as viral as it is.
The balance between like a story that is quick but incomplete and a story that is thorough but takes a little longer is something that journalism has had to deal with for as long as it's been around. And it's interesting to see that happening in the YouTube era.
This is that magnified, right? Times a million.
My one more thing, I'll go quick. My one more thing is also YouTube related in that it's a book called Yesteryear by Caro Burke. Have you guys heard of this book? It's pretty famous.
Oh, yes.
I haven't.
Heard all about it.
It's one of those books that has gone viral because it's like every once in a while, maybe every year, you get a couple of books that are like so buzzy that they get a film adaptation or a film adaptation greenlit before they even come out.
Oh.
This one,
that's how I heard about it.
In the credits of it, there's like a thanks to Anne Hathaway because she was already working on the film adaptation before the book was even published. Anyway,
wait till you hear the premise, Maddy.
The premise is
understand
wild.
Why.
Yeah, Maddy, just wait for it. So the premise of this book is that it's about a trad wife influencer based on, let me just make sure I have the name right.
Isn't it Ballerina Farm?
Yes, Ballerina Farm. Is
Which
the name
I
of the real
have
one.
heard of. Okay.
Yes, probably best known trad wife influencer.
Yeah.
So this is a trad wife influencer. This one is called Yesteryear, and it's about a woman who lives on a farm and has 5 kids and lives a rustic life and has farm animals and milks her own cows, yada yada yada, sells stuff on the internet and has a YouTube channel, Instagram, etc., etc. She's an awful person that is made very clear from the get-go. She has staff who she tries to hide from the internet, and they run things behind the scenes. She has a failing marriage. One of her kids, like clearly doesn't want to be on camera. It's the whole shebang. But the premise is that at a certain point, she wakes up and finds that she is in the 1800s, or at least it seems like she is, and she is woken up on an actual version of a farm and has to figure out like to live life that way. So it's like suddenly she doesn't have her electricity and cameras and staff and all this stuff.
So it's a bit of a like revenge fantasy on the part of all of us who would watch such a thing.
I mean, it's so. You remember that novel, The Plot, where the guy comes into the failed author's office and gives him an idea for a plot that's so good that he steals it. This is like that kind of a plot idea. Like if you hear that idea, you'd be like, oh my God, this is going to get optioned by Anne Hathaway to be made into a movie before I've even finished writing it.
You can see why it's been so buzzy. And the book is pretty good. I don't know if I love the way it all comes together at the end, but I did love the process of reading it and found it extremely enjoyable to read through. If you don't mind an extremely unlikable protagonist, and who you definitely, I mean, the book does a good job of like helping you empathize with her and relate to her a little bit and the problems she went through in her own childhood and like what made her choose this life. There's a lot of good history there, a lot about women and just like how they operate in the world and how they have to operate. So there's a lot of good stuff in there. The way it all comes together, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of a good ending based on that plot. It's such a great premise, but it is like, well, how would you end that story satisfyingly?
Yeah, I mean,
challenge.
I don't want to spoil what happens, but like, I don't know if I really bought it or enjoyed it. That said, really recommend the book just because it's a great read.
Yeah, I want to read it just because everyone's talking about it, and I'm sure I'll see the movie, and it seems like it's a pretty easy read as well.
It's going to be a
I'll probably
fantastic movie.
Yeah,
Nice.
right on.
Yeah, it's really enjoyable. You should both read it. You'll both really enjoy it.
Nice.
Once again,
Cool.
it's called Yesteryear. You've probably seen it on the bookshelves because it's gone everywhere. All right, that is it for this week's episode.
It is.
It is.
That'll do it.
Kirk and Maddy, I'll see you both next week.
Yeah, see you both next week.
Bye.
Triple Click is produced by Jason Schreier, Maddy Myers, and me, Kirk Hamilton. I edit and mix the show and also wrote our theme music. Our show art is by Tom DJ. Some of the games and products we talked about on this episode may have been sent to us for free for review consideration. You can find a link to our ethics policy in the show notes. Triple Click is a proud member of the Maximum Fun Podcast Network, and if you like our show, we hope you'll consider supporting us by becoming a member at MaximumFun.org/join. Email us at tripleclick@MaximumFun.org and find links to our merch store and our Discord server in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.